اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله، اللهم لعنهم جميعا. ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله أجمعين محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. And the month has come to an end, but I must feel to myself that I've come to a completion of this journey of reinvigoration and revival of within my soul. And coming up good with Allah Azza wa Jal. So my spirituality should be at a high, it should be at a peak. And I would have had changes in my life, be it from modesty, in the way that I act, and the way that I deal in public. Because any time that I was about to do something, I would say, Allahumma inni sa'im, that I'm fasting, so I'd hold myself back. All the way to my prayers, that generally I would tuck away to the side so I can move on with my day-to-day activity. This would be pulled back. But now I have come to resolve things and reflect over this month that has passed. I mentioned at the end of my discussion last night about to, even if I do just a small amount, as much as I can, the slightest that I can do. Our objective is to reach the heights as high as we can. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. That I have to be God-fearing to the extent of my ability, as much as I can. There's no limit. There's no extravagance when it comes to taqwa. I have to protect and guard myself from evil as much as I can. But Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, says in a narration that if you can't, don't basically just pack up shop. He says, know that أخذ القليل خير من ترك الكثير. To do a little is better than to do nothing at all. Don't say, I can't do this. Or this is too much. You know, sometimes some people, they look at a program in their life that they have to undertake. For example, doctor comes along and says, listen, you have a renal failure, or you have a heart condition, and this is what you must eat. And you look and you say, hold on, yeah, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. I'll just put it all aside. No, I'll say, hold on, I can't do 4 out of the 10 things, but I'll do the other 6. That's what I'm supposed to do. And with life, I'm supposed to do as little as I can, at least, if I'm not going to do the lot. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam also says in a narration, he says, اتق الله بعض التقى وإن قل. Guard yourself from evil and be wary of God. بعض التقى, even enough, وإن قل, even if it is a little, do something. Have some kind of, this is why where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam says, al-mu'min la yaftuk. The mu'min, b'suwahat fatak, is someone that is basically someone that's riding a horse. When you're riding the horse, you're holding the reins of the horse and you're in control of the horse. Someone that has fat is someone that basically raises their hands up and just lets the horse run wild. You know, the person that, they say, أطع شرش الحياة. No more shame, no more modesty, no more عفة, nothing. Doesn't care. كله جائز. Every single action that this person does is permissible. Bijuz, whatever I want, I do. So Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam says, a bit of guarding from evil, being wary of Allah, being God-fearing, even if it is something little, at least do something. And then he says, وَاجْعَلْ بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ اللَّهِ سِتْرًا وَإِنْ رَقٍّ. And have some kind of a sitr, like a covering or a curtain between you and God, yani istihish way. He says, even if this sitr is small, have some kind of shame. If you notice, when you read the laws, when you study Islamic jurisprudence, you read the laws of al-khilwa, when going when someone goes to the toilet or goes to the bathroom. If I have to go to the bathroom, generally they use this khalat that you're basically on your own. You're not with people, so this is why it's called the toilet. This is why it's called that name, because you're on your own. It's privacy. If you notice, of the rules, it's forbidden for you to face the qibla. But then you look at what's makruh. It says it's makruh for you to face the sun. It's makruh for you to face the moon. So you think, what do you mean it's makruh to face the sun? Why is it makruh to face the moon? Well, obviously they won't go into the toilet like you go now. They were outside, wherever they could find. Facing the sun what would that do? Bring light towards what you're doing. You would actually see what someone's doing. Have some shame. So they tell you this is why it's makruh. Make sure no one's there watching you. These things, I need to have some shame. So even if the shame is slight, have some shame. Cover yourself. Not when someone says, they ask you a question, is it permissible for me to dress in this manner? You know, people will ask, for example, can I pray in my underwear? Because for men and women, it's different, the ruling. Taban, the satr al-awratain for a man's different to the covering for a woman. So a guy will say, all right, I'll do bare minimum. So have some, at least in your life, bare minimum. Something where you cover up these indecencies and at least keep some connection between you and Allah Azza wa Jal. All these things I mentioned at the end last night, they form a butterfly effect. All these things later have a great effect. The time comes where they come and avail you. If you watch people, I remember in the 1980s, when the war, of what I read of it, you know, obviously I was young then, but what I read of it, the war between the Afghani Mujahideen, when they were fighting against the Russians had tanks. These guys would actually attack the tanks using what? They would get piles of clay or dirt and they throw it at the tanks to cut off the vision where the tank driver would be able to look. They would try and seal where his vision was. And, you know, in some ways they'd get them to turn off the road or flip or something like that. What is it that gives you this strength and motivation? It's these acts of worship, like fasting, that gives you this build-up and this strength for you to stand up against something that powerful. It comes back to you at one point. At what point it comes back to you and you're able to stand up using that strength that you've built up before. We have a proverb that says, small strokes fell great oaks. Sometimes if you look at, and when we say a great oak, a great tree, when there's these little strikes that people are hitting with an axe, eventually this great oak will fall. Little by little, you will build yourself into a better person. Okay. The other thing is you need to understand Allah Azza wa Jal accepts the smallest of your actions. Ya man yaqbalu al-yasir. Allah will accept the smallest of your actions. At least you turn towards Him at one stage. When it comes to my changing, I hit upon as well that the changes have to be gradual. Last night I mentioned that they shouldn't be in one go. Gradually, I changed myself. I began with this boost this month. I worked gradually to make myself into a better individual. Now this month is over. Another thing for me to keep the spirit and the light within me from this month is regular reminders. See, if I don't go get these regular reminders, I don't have a maw'idha, your battery will become empty. You know, just like your food, just like your body needs sustenance in order for you to do things. You know, when you're fasting, you notice when you're hungry that sometimes you're not thinking straight. You know, someone wants to see you for something, you say, listen, we'll talk after iftar. Because you're not thinking, you're not focusing. Your soul is rendered helpless without what? Soul food. What the soul has. What's the soul food? Is the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal. You know, بِذِكْرِكَ, as we read in Dua Abi Hamza al-Thamali, what does he say? بِذِكْرِكَ عَاشَ قَلْبِي. My soul lives with your remembrance, O Allah. أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. The remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal gives me this contentment, gives me this serenity, gives me this clarity in life on how I should live. And as the verse in the Quran says, that the remembrance benefits the believers. It's a benefit for you. I need to keep these constant reminders. Sometimes you may think it's all right. A lot of people have a thing where they say, I'm not bagging anyone that just spoke to me right now, but a lot of people have been saying this throughout. Look, I watched the live feed. Okay? Some people have a habit of watching the live feed of the speech and not actually turning up to the speech. Generally, turning up just to sit down in the environment where you say salawat. This is better than sitting at home and watching 100 speeches. And it's not something I'm making up. If you are in an environment and there is someone in that environment, firstly, that's near to Allah Azza wa Jal, all your supplications are answered because of their presence. That's the first thing. That this person has a connection. Why do you think when Imam al-Hadi, or salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, said to one of his companions, are you going to Karbala? And he said, yes. In the narration, he says, when you visit the Hussein alayhi salam, visit the grave of Imam Hussein, my grandfather, he said, supplicate for me. And the man said, Sayyidi, you know, you're the Imam, everything's through you. You know, you're the one that wants me to supplicate for you. And the Imam said, yes. You know, I understand basically, I'm paraphrasing what you're saying, but there are places where Allah likes to hear the supplication. There are certain places Allah loves hearing supplication. To sit in your home, you won't have that effect. It's different, like for example, what's the difference between someone that gets a home gym and someone that actually goes to the gym? You see those people with their home gyms, they're always in pristine condition, they've never been used. You think you bought it last week because you had it for 15 years, hasn't been touched. You know, does bench press one day and that's it. Puts it down, never goes back. But when they actually go to the gym, they actually do an effort. They train because they actually go to the place where the activity is taking place. So I have to turn up for a place to get a reminder. And there's, alhamdulillah, living in Sydney, you have a lot of centers. You don't know how fortunate you are with the fact we have a lot of places, masajid centers in Sydney. And if you look at masajid in general, we have several masajid just in Sydney. You go to London, I think we have more mosques, more masajid than London. London has got a lot of Islamic centers, but they don't have that many masajid. We have that many places for us to access and get remembrance of Allah. So there's no excuse for me to sit at home. Also, don't think I've finished Shahr Ramadan, everything's going to run smoothly. I have to live in anticipation of problems. Problems will come up upon me. I'll get tried. I shouldn't fall apart on the first hiccup. I shouldn't fall apart the second the month is over. I have to be ready that these problems will return. The other thing is, when these problems turn up, don't fall apart. If I fall down, don't give up. You know, people commit one sin, they say, khalas, it's over. I've gone too far, and then they go from one sin to another. Even if the night before you stole something, don't say, all right, I stole something, the next morning I'm going to go eat something haram, because I've already done something haram. Might as well just do another haram thing. No. Once you've done something wrong, turn back and pull back from this. The problem, a lot of people now, when they do something haram, they advertise it on Instagram or Facebook to let the world know. It goes onto social media. They want the whole world to know that they did something wrong. At least I need to have some shame there. Where إذا ابتليتم بالمعاصي فاستتروا. When I do something wrong, cover it up so I can repent. Other people, they're in the habit, you meet them. I met someone a few weeks ago. The first thing he was telling me how he used to go clubbing, how he used to drink. And I said, why are you telling me all this? What is the purpose of you telling me? He wasn't like telling me, he's become religious now. He's not telling me, what do I do? I've went wrong. No. He just told me what I used to do and look where I am now. I said, you shouldn't be announcing this stuff. Because everyone that meets you has the best opinion of you. Leave them with that opinion of you. Don't tell them only if you knew what I was. So a lot of the times, a lot of people, when they tell you, I'm not saying this person was doing this, but in a lot of cases, they're just telling you how awesome they were because they still enjoyed what they used to do. You know, you tell you, on the podium, I was the best dancer. No one used to come close to me. You know? Why are you telling me? Reminds me of that, it's a joke anyway, it's the end of the month. So. A guy goes into a confessional and says to the priest that last night I committed a sin with two very attractive women, and I'm just trying to dumb it down as much as I can. And the priest says, say 10 Hail Marys and 5 Hail Fathers and put some money in the box. The man says, I'm a Jew, I'm Jewish. And then he says, why have you come into the confessional? Why are you telling me? He said, I'm telling everybody. So this is pretty much what it is. He wants the world to know what he's been doing. Uphold your prayers. Pray on time. Make sure your prayers are done on time at all times. And be truthful. And always side with the truth. And get rid of all this negativity. There are people that just search for problems. In fact, when Allah Azza wa Jal resolves a problem for them, they think, all right, what other problems do I have that I need to think about and bring up? They just want to complain, and they want their plight to be the worst. They want their situation to be the worst. That, oh my God, I am so miserable. My life is the worst life on this planet. They could not sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. My life could not be worse. No one's life could be worse than the life that I'm living. That's their thought. And the fact is, you know what the scary part about this is? When you keep this negativity, you forget about the quagmire that Allah Azza wa Jal just pulled you out of, just saved you from. The problem that you were in, Allah Azza wa Jal saved you, you think, all right, what's a new problem for me to think about? Rather than say, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, start thinking about the past things that Allah pulled you out of. Lawla fadlullah, if it wasn't for the virtue and grace of Allah Azza wa Jal, I would never have got out of this situation. That if it wasn't for Allah Azza wa Jal helping me here, I would never have been saved from this situation. This is a sickness, it's an illness. People that are reliant upon drugs. And when I say drugs, a lot of people think, all right, cocaine, heroin. No, I'm talking about drugs of today that people, how many people are using Valium today? And you know, a lot of people, you be talking to them, they use Valium, they just pretend they don't use it. How many people use opioids? People that don't need them. I'm talking about people that say, hold on, I feel a bit crook, you know, I can't sleep, I'm going to use something to aid me in sleeping. And they don't need them. People that don't have illnesses, but they've just developed an addiction to all these. And this has spread because they think I'm so miserable and this is my way out. Or the people that do self-harm to themselves. You know, sometimes you see, especially like teenagers in school, you see where they put those smiley faces on their hand. They get a lighter and they burn onto their hand, or they cut themselves and they say, yeah, because it makes me feel awesome. It makes me feel good. So they do that. You know, there's other ways for people to realize if you're irrational or irate, or even, honestly, some people should have their sanity checked when they do stuff like that, if that makes them feel so awesome. But why am I upset? Am I upset because I don't have access to the best foods in the world? Like, you live in this country, honestly. What day of Shahr Ramadan were you not able to eat what you wanted to eat? You live in this country and you have this opportunity. Are we upset because we're not paralyzed? You know, someone says, I've got problems. You want to see problems? Go see someone that's living their life in a wheelchair. Or you go find someone that's living their life in oncology, somebody that's suffering from cancer, that's been told that they have so long to live. They've got 6 months, 3 months, or whatever to live. Are you so upset when you have better than the fact that we're able to have everything we want, and better than the fact that you're in your health is the fact that we have what? You have your religion. You have your faith. What more do you want than that? You are so fortunate that you have your faith and your faith is intact. So why am I so miserable? There are people that don't have religion. There are people that you meet on a day-to-day basis that don't believe in God. They walk through life, and when I say that this is such a bad situation to be in, the tragic part of all this is that these people live a life of real hopelessness. Real hopelessness. They don't have anyone to talk to except someone that will judge them, another human. Someone that will not benefit them, another human. Rather than have someone that they can actually talk to in the case of when they have faith. They talk to Allah Azza wa Jal about their problems, and they remove this burden from their shoulders and they give it to God to worry about. Allah Azza wa Jal is the one that will give them that solution eventually. This is the reality of the situation. No matter any problem that I have, I don't know why you stress out about it. I remember a relative of mine said, do you know what? He said to me, over the years, the energy rates are going to go up by 40%. We won't be able to afford electricity. The rent's going to go up. He was talking about all these problems. And I said, yeah, but they're not my problems. And he said, what do you mean they're not your problems? Don't you pay your bills? I said, no, they're God's problems. He solves them for me. My problem is whether I obey Allah Azza wa Jal and follow what He tells me to do. As for sustaining me, that's Allah's problem. Allah's the one that's promised to sustain me. And He's been sustaining me the whole time. Never had a problem in that department. Why should it be a problem in the next 5 years? And that's why you shouldn't have this negativity. This burden's been lifted off your shoulders because it's somebody else's problem. The other thing with being a believer is constantly, a real believer, is in a happy phase, always happy. Their life being linked to Allah keeps them happy. Even if you take a look at things that we know. You've heard the saying, it's better to want than to have. That to want something is always better than having it. Why? Take a look at anything that has transpired in your life. An event. For example, you want to marry the person that you love, in the sense that when we say love, I'm using the love as in the puppy love, not the real love. or they call, I think the Greeks call it agape. It's not that love. We're talking about that puppy love that someone has from the very beginning. They're going to marry this person. Before the marriage transpires, before the marriage takes place, what happens as we lead up towards the marriage? As you lead up towards the marriage, everyone is in a high state, happy state. The days are getting close. The moment the marriage takes place, the moment that the marriage comes to, there's this anticlimactic feeling. You go, all right. It was awesome building up to it. But now I'm here, it's just normal again. The whole time building up, even when you were a child, you tell your parents, I want a swimming pool in the house. You go to the people's houses that have swimming pools, the kids don't swim in them. The pool's there. Some days, they're just throwing chlorine in there. It goes green, and they throw chlorine again. And then the odd occasion, they only swim when people come over. Oh, friends come over, let's play with our toys. Let's go for that swim. That generally, people that live that moment and get all these things as they want, they do get happy. I'm not saying they're not happy. But it's only a momentary happiness. It's only for a limited time. Whereas the believer is in a constant happiness because he anticipates what? He anticipates paradise. The whole time the believer's alive, the believer's in anticipation of the hereafter. And when he reads the Quran, the believer lives this moment. وَهُمْ وَالْجَنَّةِ كَمَنْ قَدْ رَآهَا فَهُمْ فِيهَا مُنَعَّمُونَ. That when they read the verses about paradise, they're as if they are seeing paradise. And it's as if they are living in the blessings of paradise, in the bounties of paradise. They live this moment. And this is why, Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And this is why, when you relive the martyrdom when you relive the martyrdom and the story and the tale of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, they always mention that the nearer that the Imam came towards his meeting with Allah Azza wa Jal, they say his face became more and more brilliant, more illuminant. Why? Because this is the anticipation of this moment. And even on the last night, when we mentioned the story of Budair, where he jokes with one of the other companions, he jokes because of this moment of anticipation where he will come to this final meeting. But even in this final meeting, it's eternal happiness. There's no anticlimax there, because Allah Azza wa Jal is the one that sets the tone there, and how people are supposed to experience this life, and how people are supposed to enjoy this life. So I need to take what I can from this month to continue my journey. And there is no time like the present. There's no need for me to delay. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal that this month remains upon me as a guide to take me through the remainder of my life, and that I fulfill my duty for the entirety of my life, and He does not take me until He is pleased with me and accepts my actions. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu ala Muhammad.